Claude, where are we at?
Buckle up, homie. We're going on a dilly-dally. So right now you're rolling down Charles Ellis Drive, cutting through what they call Ellis Preserve, and this is one of those roads named after a guy nobody remembers, which is the saddest kind of famous. Charles Ellis. You get a whole road, a whole development, your name on signs forever, and yet if I stopped 100 people driving through here and asked who was Charles Ellis, I'd get 100 blank stares and one guy going, wasn't he a wide receiver? No, he was not. Here's the actual thing though, and it's kind of beautiful and kind of bleak. Charles Ellis was a Philadelphia businessman back in the 1800s, and when he died, he left his fortune, all of it, to build a school for orphan girls. Like genuinely one of the nicest things a rich guy has ever done. And for over 100 years, that's what this land was. A big, grand school for girls who had nobody. Beautiful old buildings, columns, the whole deal, and now it's a mixed-use development with a gym and a place to get poke bowls, which is the most American sentence I've ever said. It used to be a sanctuary for orphans, now there's a spin studio and a sweet green. Progress, baby. And that's the thing that gets me about these preserves and these developments. They always name them after the thing they destroyed. You ever notice that? The second, there's a development called the Preserve. You know for a fact something got bulldozed. Nobody names a place after what's actually there. You never see parking lot estates or the cul-de-sac at former meadow. No, they pave the meadow, then they name the street after the meadow so that forever people drive down Meadow Lane going, man, wonder why they called it that, while sitting in a Honda on top of the dead meadow. It's like a tombstone you can drive on. But I'll say this, man, this area is actually kind of pretty. It's got that Newtown Square thing where everything is aggressively pleasant. The landscaping out here is doing more emotional labor than most marriages. Every bush is trimmed like it owes somebody money. And you get these old stone walls, real ones, the kind that took some Irish or Italian guy 6 months to build by hand in 1890. And now they just sort of decorate the entrance to an apartment complex. That wall has seen things, that wall has outlived everyone who ever touched it. And its reward is being a backdrop for a now leasing banner. And honestly, that's the whole vibe of this drive. Layers of somebody's big dream getting quietly turned into somebody else's Tuesday. The orphan school becomes the office park. The farm becomes the preserve. The meadow becomes Meadow Lane. And we just roll through it in a climate-controlled car, none the wiser, looking for a place to turn around. Anyway, that's where we're at, man. Cue me when you see something. Oh, okay, yeah, so you're up on Newtown Street Road now, right where it meets Goshen, and that old tavern you're looking at, that's the Square Tavern. And this thing is the real deal, man. This is not a TGI Fridays pretending to have history with a canoe nailed to the wall. This is an actual colonial tavern, 1740s, 1750s, older than the country. This building was pouring drinks before America was even a concept. Guys were in there getting hammered and complaining about the king like 15 years before anybody did anything about it. And I love that, because taverns back then weren't just bars, they were everything. They were the post office, the courthouse, the town hall, the Yelp. The whole internet was one room with a fireplace, and a guy named Josiah who'd had 11 beers. You needed news? Tavern. You needed to vote? Tavern. You needed to marry off your daughter or sell a horse or start a minor revolution? Tavern. It was the one place where the entire town's business got done, which means it was also where every bad decision in a 50-mile radius originated. 300 years of hold my ale happened right there. And here's your local kicker, man. This spot is tied to the family of Benjamin West. Now, nobody today knows that name, but Benjamin West was born right here in Newtown Square in 1738. And this Delco kid, this Quaker farm boy, ends up sailing to London and becoming the official historical painter to King George III, the actual king, the guy we fought the whole war against. And he becomes president of the Royal Academy, basically the most powerful artist in the entire British Empire. From here, from this, from a township that today's biggest export is people who leave. And that's what slays me about it, man. You're sitting at a stoplight next to a building, half annoyed because you're trying to figure out if it's worth filming. And the answer is a farm kid from this exact patch of dirt painted portraits of the King of England, while your ancestors were 300 feet away arguing about a fence. Same zip code, wildly different outcomes, and the tavern just sits there. That's the part I respect. It doesn't brag. It's just this squat little stone building that has outlived every single person who ever walked in, every empire, every argument, every guy who swore he was going to change his life. It's seen it all, and it's still standing there going, you want a drink or not? 3 centuries of humans coming and going, and the building's like, yeah, I've heard that one before. So no, man, this one's actually worth a slow roll. Give it a beat. That little stone box has more stories in it than the whole rest of this road combined. Anyway, that's your tavern. Cue me when you see something.
Where are we at now?
Alright, now you're rolling down Goshen Road, headed west. And Goshen is one of those names that tells you exactly who settled here and what they were thinking. Goshen, it's biblical, man. It's straight out of the book of Genesis. The land of Goshen was the good land, the fertile stretch where Joseph put his family so they could ride out the famine. It was the promised spot, the place where things were going to finally be okay. And that's such a Quaker / colonial settler move, right? These guys show up in the middle of the Pennsylvania woods, 1700s. They got nothing. They're clearing trees by hand, dying of stuff we now cure with a lozenge. And they look around at the mud and the stumps and go, yeah, this is Goshen, this is the promised land. Aspirational branding, that's all it was. You name the place after the dream so you can survive the reality. Same energy as the Ellis Preserve thing from before. Humans have always named a place after the thing they're hoping it'll become. And here's what gets me about Goshen Road specifically. Man, it's one of those old colonial roads that was basically a cow path that got promoted. You can feel it in how it bends. Modern roads are straight because engineers drew them with a ruler. Old roads like this one wander, they curve for no reason. And the reason is always the same. 300 years ago there was a big rock there, or a swamp, or a tree. Nobody wanted to cut down, so the road just went around it. And that tree's been gone for 2 centuries, but the road still respects it. You're literally driving the memory of an obstacle that
lost you, Claude. What were you saying?
No worries, man, you dropped out. I was just riffing on Goshen Road, you're rolling west on it, and the short version is it's a biblical name. Goshen was the promised land in Genesis, so those colonial settlers slapped that hopeful branding on a patch of Pennsylvania mud to make the hard reality feel like the dream. And I was saying it's one of those old cowpath roads that got promoted. That's why it wanders and bends for no reason, curving around rocks and trees that vanished 2 centuries ago. You're driving the memory of obstacles that don't exist anymore, brother. Want me to pick it back up and keep rolling from there?
Yeah, keep rolling.
All right, so picking it up, man, you keep heading west on Goshen and the whole county starts to exhale. That's the thing I was getting at. This is the edge, the seam, where suburbia gives up and the land goes back to being land. And you can feel the money change out here too. In town, Newtown Square money is quiet. Hedges and long driveways, don't look at me. But out this way, it flips into horse money, which is the loudest quiet money there is. Because horse people want you to know. The white fences go on for a half mile. The barn is nicer than your house. The barn has better lighting than most weddings. And there's always one horse just standing in a 40-acre field, doing absolutely nothing. And that horse costs more than everything I own. That horse has a better retirement plan than me. That horse has a guy who comes to look at its feet. And I think about the economics of it, man. Because a horse is the least practical thing a human can own. It's a 1,900-pound animal whose entire job used to be everything, right? Transportation, farming, war. The whole civilization ran on horses, and then we invented the car, and just went, you're free to go. And instead of the horses disappearing, they got promoted to luxury item. That's the greatest career pivot in history. Went from pulling a plough 12 hours a day to standing in a field being admired. That's the dream. That's every guy who sold a company at 55. I used to work, now I just stand in a nice field and people look at me. And these roads out here, man, they were the highways of their day. Goshen Road, all these old routes. This is how you got from the Quaker meeting house to the mill to the market. Everything moved at 3 miles an hour, the speed of a walking horse, and the whole world was built around that pace. A trip to Philadelphia was a 2-day event. You packed, you told people, you might not come back, and now you can do it in 40 minutes on the blue route and complain the whole way that there was traffic. We got the entire miracle we asked for, and it just became the new baseline for being annoyed. That's humanity in a sentence, man. We turned, I can travel 30 miles in the time it takes to hear an album, into, ugh, this is taking forever. But that's what I like about a road like this. It doesn't let you forget, it won't straighten out. It keeps that old bend, that old rhythm, and it kind of forces you to slow down, whether you want to or not. The road's basically saying, hey, remember when this took all day? Show a little respect. And you should, man. You really should. Anyway, that's the western edge for you. Cue me when you see something.
Tell me about this preserve.
Onus. Okay, you made it out to Okehocking Preserve. And this one's actually special, man. This is the good stuff. You're on Westchester Pike now, and this is 180 acres of rolling meadow and old stone barns that somehow didn't get turned into townhouses, which But round here is basically a miracle. This is what the whole county looked like before everybody showed up with a bulldozer and a dream. And the name, man, Okehocking, that's the real history right there. The Okehocking were a band of the Lenape, the actual native people of this whole area, and this land is tied directly to them because William Penn granted this tract to them back around 1701. Which sounds generous until you sit with it for a second. Penn granted them land they had already been living on for thousands of years. That's like me coming into your house and going, you know what, I like you, you can keep the kitchen. Gee, thanks, real big of you. And even that didn't last. Within a couple generations, the Okehocking were pushed out and gone anyway, so the grant was basically a gift receipt that expired. But here's the thing that gets me, and it's the only reason the name survives. This is one of the few spots around here that actually kept the native name instead of slapping some developer's last name on it. No Okehocking Estate. No, the villas at Okehocking. They just left it. And so the name of these people outlived basically everything else about them. That's the whole deal with the Lenape across this entire region. Man, they're gone, but they're everywhere. Every other creek, road and town, half these names are theirs. They named the whole map and then got erased from it. You're driving through their words all day and never know it. And the land itself, man, this is why you stop for this one. It's just open. Rolling meadows, big sky, those old stone farm buildings sitting there catching the light. And right now, late afternoon, this is the golden hour play. The whole field's gonna go warm and honey-coloured and every blade of grass lights up. This is the one out here that actually earns a slow roll and a long... No jokes needed. Some places you film because they're... Ha! You cut out there, man. All I got was do you feel. Hit me with the rest, brother.
Now finish what you were saying about the preserve.
Yeah, man, so to round out the preserve, the part I didn't quite get to, what makes Okehocking hit different is that it's basically a time machine you can pull into. Those stone barns and the old farmhouse sitting up on the rise, that's genuine 17 and 1800 stonework. And it's just standing there in the open field doing nothing but being old and honest. No gift shop energy, no plaque overload. Just the bones of a working farm that the county decided to leave alone. And the beauty of it, brother, is it's a rare win. Almost every other piece of ground we drove past today got its dream paved over, the orphan school, the meadow, all of it. But this one, the community actually fought to keep it open. So when you roll through and it's all golden and quiet, you're looking at the one that got away. The one somebody stood up and saved. That's the note to end on out here, man. Let the camera just sit on that light. Cue me when you see something.
Claude, tell me more about this place.
All right. So let me go deeper on this place, man, because there's more here than the pretty feel stuff I already gave you. So here's the thing about Okehocking that I find kind of wild. This land almost became a housing development in the 1990s. Like it was right there on the chopping block. Willistown Township bought it, I want to say around 96, 97, specifically to stop that from happening. And think about how close that was, man. A couple signatures the other way, and instead of this open meadow, you'd have whispering Okehocking estates, 40 houses that all look the same, and a retention pond with one sad goose. We came within a hair of losing the whole thing, and the only reason we didn't is a bunch of local people showed up to boring township meetings and refused to let it go. That's the least glamorous heroism there is, man. No statue for those people, just folding chairs and public comment. And the farmhouse up there, the stone one, that goes back to the 1700s, and this was a real working farm right up into modern times. People actually lived and worked this dirt for 2+ centuries. And what kills me is the continuity of it, right? Same soil, same creek running through, generation after generation, just farming. And now the crop is basically peace of mind. People come out here to walk the dog, jog, cry in their car, whatever. The land went from feeding bodies to feeding like the nervous systems of stressed out suburbanites. Same field, different kind of hungry. And there's a creek down in there, man. Ridley Creek's headwaters kind of thread through this whole area. And that's the real reason any of this exists. Follow the water and you find the history every time. The Lenape were here because of the water. The mills came cause of the water. The farms, the whole thing, all of it organized around a creek that's still just quietly doing its job, ignoring every single one of us. That creek does not care about Willistown Township. That creek was here before the grant, before Penn, before the name, and it'll be here after the last townhouse falls down. It's the only local that's seen the whole movie. And that's what I actually love about a spot like this, man. It makes you feel small in the good way. You stand in that meadow, and you're just the current guy. You're this decade's visitor. The Lenape had it, the farmers had it, and now it's a bunch of people in Patagonia vests walking labradoodles. And in 100 years, it'll be somebody else. And the field does not care about any of us. It just keeps being a field. Honestly, kind of a relief. Takes the pressure off. Anyway, that's the deeper cut on Okehocking, man. Cue me when you see something.
Claude, what's this road?
All right. So you're still on Westchester Pike, man. This is Route 3.
Hey, Claude, hold up. Hold up.
Yep, waiting, man.
Claude, tell me about this road.
Alright, so you're on Westchester Pike, man, Route 3, and this is the big one. This is the artery. This road is the reason half of what we talked about today even exists.
Claude, hold up. You gotta bad connection.
Good man. I'll hang tight. QB when you're back.
Trying to say?
Yeah, man. So I was just getting into Westchester Pike. That's the road you're on, Route 3, the big artery. It runs all the way from Westchester into Upper Derby, and it's basically the spine this whole area grew up around. And the history on it is good, brother. It started as a turnpike, an actual toll road back in the 1800s. Before that, it was a dirt track that turned to soup every time it rained. Then they planked it and graded it and put up toll houses, and the whole point was to get farm goods and people from the western farmland into Philadelphia without losing a wagon to the mud. And here's the kicker, man. There used to be a trolley, the Red Arrow line, running right down this route. That's how all these little towns strung themselves along it like beads. The road came first, then the trolley, then the sprawl. Everything you see out here is just barnacles that grew on this one old road. Want me to keep rolling on it, bro?
Hold up, Claude. What am I looking at here? What is this monument?
Let me see what's along that stretch, man. Oh, okay, that's the Delaware County Veterans Memorial, man, right there at 4599 Westchester Pike. And this one you don't clown on, brother. This is the real deal. Dedicated back in 2013, and the whole theme of it is lest we forget. It honors everybody from Delaware County who served, going all the way back from the War of 1812 right up through the wars in the Middle East. And it's genuinely well done, man. It's this big granite structure, 20-some feet high, ringed with 8 flagpoles and 9 colonnades, and the detail that gets everybody is the empty chair. A grey granite chair that sits there for the POWs and the guys classified as missing in action, the ones who never came home. That's a heavy, beautiful thing to put in stone, an empty seat, just waiting. You look at that and you don't need a joke. You just kind of sit with it. And I'll say this, man, what I respect about it is where they put it. Right on the pike, not tucked away, not hidden behind hedges like everything else out here. Right on the busiest road in the county so you can't not see it. So 100,000 people a week drive past on their way to nowhere, coffee, work, the gym, and just for a second they're reminded. That's the whole point. That's the lest we forget part, literally built into the traffic pattern. This one earns a slow, let it sit, no commentary. Ah, you cut out again, man, just got set, no. Take your time, brother, I'm here. Hit me when you're ready.
That's pretty cool, Claude. What else is around here?
Right, so you're still right by the memorial on Westchester Pike, and let me paint you the bigger picture of what's around this stretch, man, because you're basically sitting at the center of gravity for the whole township right here. Head east on the Pike, and you roll back toward the actual square of Newtown Square, which, funny enough, isn't really a square at all anymore. It's a crossroads that got swallowed by shopping centres. That's where you get your Wawas, your banks, your everyday Delco stuff. Keep going, and the Pike carries you all the way toward Broomall, and eventually Upper Derby, getting denser and grittier the whole way. That's the road slowly turning from horse country back into row home country. Go the other way, west, back where you just came from, and it opens up into that Willistown horse and meadow world we already hit. So this exact spot, man, right here at the memorial, is kind of the hinge, the seam. West of here is old money and open land. East of here is where regular Delco starts. You're standing on the line where the county changes its mind about what it wants to be. And just north and south off the Pike, man, you got these pockets that are worth a wander if you feel like it. Goshen and the older residential roads with the stone farmhouses. And down south you eventually hit toward Ridley Creek State Park, which is the big one. 2,600 acres of woods and trails, and an actual preserved colonial plantation inside it. That's the crown jewel of this whole area if you ever want a full nature ramble. So that's your lay of the land, brother. You're at the crossroads of two totally different Delcos. Which way you feeling, east into town, or you want to keep it out in the pretty stuff?
We're going east.
Alright, east it is, man. We're rolling back towards civilization. And check this out, you're pulling out right past Alice Grimm Boulevard. Which, what a name, right? Alice Grimm. Sounds like a character in a book your kid gets assigned and pretends to read. But that's the little access road for the memorial we just looked at. So somebody named Alice Grimm earned herself a spot on the map. And honestly, good for Alice. So now we're headed east on the Pike. And here's what happens, man. You're gonna feel the whole personality of the road shift over the next couple miles. West of here was all breathing room, meadows, that we have horses money. But head east and Newtown Square starts tightening up. The lots get smaller. The open land turns into shopping centres, and this is where the modern township actually lives. The strip malls, the banks, the Wawa, the place everybody actually spends their real life, while the pretty farms just sort of exist in the background for the postcard. And that's the honest heart of a place like this, man. Everybody romanticizes the stone walls and the horse fences, but 90% of actual life out here happens in a parking lot. That's not an insult, that's just America. The strip mall is the real town square now. The old tavern was where they did all the town's business 300 years ago. And today, that exact same energy is happening in a shopping centre between a nail salon and a GNC. Same human need, worse architecture. People still come to gather, gossip, grab a bite. They just do it under fluorescent lights now instead of by a fireplace. And the Pike just keeps carrying you, man. That's its whole job. It's been moving people east toward the city and west toward the farms for 200 years. And it does not care if you're in a wagon or a wagon-shaped SUV. Keep going east far enough and the whole thing gets denser, older, grittier, until you're basically in Philadelphia's orbit and the horse country feels like a dream you had. Anyway, that's the shift, man. We're heading back into the real world. Cue me when you see something.
Hey, Claude, who's Bishop Hollow? And why does he have a road?
See, what's fun about that one, man, is everybody's brain does exactly what yours just did. You see Bishop Hollow Road and you go, oh, Bishop, must have been some guy, a reverend, a bishop. No, that's the trap. Hollow is the giveaway. A hollow is just an old word for a little low valley, a dip in the land where a creek runs through. So Bishop Hollow isn't a dude, man. It's a place. It's a geographic feature. It's a wrinkle in the ground. And Bishop here is almost certainly a family name, not a church title. That's how 90% of these old Delco roads got named. Some family, the Bishops, had a farm or a mill down in that little valley 200 years ago, and everybody just started calling it Bishop's Hollow. Where you headed? Down Bishop's Hollow. And the name stuck around for 2 centuries after the last actual bishop packed up and left. Same deal as everything else out here, man. The people vanish, the name stays. The road is a tombstone for a family nobody remembers. And that's what kills me about it, right? Some regular farming family, the Bishops, just living their lives, milking cows, complaining about the weather, and their entire legacy, the whole sum total of their existence on this earth, is that now, in 2026, a guy in an SUV goes, "Who's Bishop Hollow?" while looking for a shortcut. That's immortality, man. That's what you get, not a statue, not a book, a road sign that confuses people 300 years later. And honestly, that's more than most of us are gonna get. I'd take it. Anyway, that's your bishop, man, a valley pretending to be a guy. Cue me when you see something.
Claude, I really thought that was a priest.
Ah, right, I know, man, it gets everybody, that's the beauty of it. Bishop Hollow, it sounds like a guy who should be blessing your kids and judging your life choices. You picture some stern old priest in a robe, and it's a ditch with a creek in it. A soggy little valley that happened to belong to a family named Bishop. And honestly, man, I love that you went there, because that's the exact instinct these old names play on. Half of Delco sounds vaguely holy, right? You got Bishop Hollow, you got St. David's, you got all these roads that sound like they should come with a sermon. But 9 times out of 10, it's just some farmer's last name, or a dip in the dirt. The land out here is way less religious than it sounds. It just had good branding. You got robbed of a priest, brother. I'm sorry. Cue me when you see something.
Claude, why is it called Newtown Square?
Okay, this is a good one, man. Because the answer is basically the least imaginative thing you've ever heard, and that's what makes it great. So, Newtown. Break it down. Newtown, that's it. That's the whole creative process. Back around 1700-something, William Penn's people are carving up this land into townships, and they get to this chunk and go, all right, what do we call this one? And some guy just goes, it's a new town. And everybody went, yep, that'll do. Done. Lunch. That's colonial naming for you, man. These people crossed an ocean, risked everything, tamed a wilderness. And when it came time to name it, they had the imagination of a guy naming a Wi-Fi network. And here's the square part, because that's actually the interesting wrinkle, man. When they originally surveyed this township, they laid it out as a near-perfect square on the map, like an actual geometric square. So it wasn't Newtown, the charming village square with a gazebo. It was Newtown, the shape. They named it after the math. It's basically Newtown Rectangle Edition, which is so beautifully literal it hurts. Somewhere there's a surveyor from 300 years ago who looked at his own drawing, saw 4 roughly equal sides and went square. And that name has survived every war, every president, everything, based purely on the fact that a guy with a chain and a compass drew a boxy shape. And that's what slays me about it, man. We're driving around going, what's the deep meaning of Newtown Square? And the deep meaning is, it was new, it was a town, and it was shaped like a square. 3 facts, no poetry, no founder's romantic vision, just a to-do list that accidentally became a name forever. And the funniest part, brother, it's not even a square anymore. It got chopped up, borders redrawn, roads carved through, so now it's this lumpy, irregular blob. So we're driving through a place called Square that has not been a square for 2 centuries. The name outlived the shape, which, at this point in the tour, is the most Delco thing I can possibly tell you. The thing it's named for is long gone, and the name just refuses to leave. Anyway, that's why it's
Claude,
Newtown Square.
Hold up, tell me about this college here.
Let me nail down which campus you're looking at, man. Ah, okay, that right there, man, is Delaware County Community College, the Marple campus. Everybody just calls it DCCC. And this is the beating blue-collar heart of Delco education, man. This is not the ivy-covered 300-year-old, my great-grandfather donated the library kind of school. This is the real one. The one that actually did something for regular people. So it opened in 1974, and it sits on about 123 acres right here off Media Line Road and Route 252. And here's what I genuinely love about a place like this, man. It's the great equalizer. Every kid whose parents couldn't cut a check for a fancy university, every adult who went back at 40 to finally get the degree, every person who joined the workforce, screwed up or just needed a second lap, they all came through here. That's the honest engine of a county. Everybody wants to romanticize the horse farms and the mainline mansions, but this parking lot full of Hondas is where the actual American dream gets its oil changed. And that's the joke that isn't even a joke, man. A community college is the least glamorous, most important building in any town. Nobody's writing a movie about DCCC. There's no big rivalry, no fight song anybody's crying to at a reunion. But this place has quietly launched more nurses, more electricians, more x-ray techs, more people who actually keep the lights on and the county running than every fancy school around here combined. The main line produces guys who manage hedge funds. This place produces the people who fix your hedge, your heart monitor, and your transmission. I know which one I'm calling at 2 a.m. And you feel it in the vibe, man, no pretension. It's just a bunch of practical buildings, a STEM center, a tech center, big lots, and people hustling to and from class on their way to a better version of their life. No hedges hiding the buildings out here. Nobody's trying to disappear behind a long driveway. It's the opposite of everything else we saw today. This place wants you to walk right in. So yeah, brother, that's DCCC, the most honest school in the county. Doesn't look like much, does more than most. Anyway, that's your college, man. Cue me when you see something.
Who is Founders Hall named after?
Ha! So here's the thing, man, and it's right in the name. Founders Hall isn't named after one guy, it's named after the founders, plural. The people who started the whole place. And with a community college like DCCC, that's not some single rich benefactor whose face is on a coin. It's the group, the county leaders, the education board, the local folks back in the late 60s and early 70s who fought to get a public college built out here in the first place. And that's actually perfect for a school like this, man, because it fits the whole vibe I was just talking about. The fancy schools name their buildings after one guy, some tycoon who wrote a check big enough to buy immortality. But the community college names its main hall after the founders, no names, no egos, just the people who made this happen. It's the most democratic possible move. Nobody's grabbing the credit. It's a building named after a committee, brother. And honestly, for a place built for regular people, that's exactly right. If you ever want, man, I can dig up the actual names of the folks on that original founding board. But the short answer is, Founders Hall honors the whole crew that willed this place into existence back around 1967. Anyway, cue me when you see something.